Supply chain commerce, from our perspective, in a nutshell, is where supply chain and the market meet. Right, so most of us that have been talking about supply chain for a number of years think about it, I believe, from a perspective of execution, moving products, managing inventory, fulfilling orders, and all of those kinds of disciplines. And what we're seeing now is the opportunity for supply chain systems, supply chain solutions to generate real top-line revenue. Okay, by being able to get supply chain much closer to the customer. In years gone by, we feel that most of the supply chain practitioners have been quite shielded from the end consumer. Faceless orders, anonymous destinations almost. Whereas today, it feels much more like the customer is much closer to supply chain, primarily based upon the fact that the promises that are being made by retailers and suppliers and so forth are much bolder today than they have been in the past. And they've trained us well to be much more impatient than we were in years gone by. It used to be that maybe we would wander into a store or wander into a mall, and if a product wasn't in stock, the answer would be, stroll on by, back on by next weekend, and we might have some in stock. And we would say, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll wander. And if it wasn't there next weekend, there was sort of a little bit of shame on us for going back and without product being there. Today, though, when the website says it will be delivered to you at 2 p.m. tomorrow, or if you order online and you're going to pick up in store, and it says that order will be ready for you in 21 minutes, guaranteed, those promises better be kept. Those promises better be kept. So there's a great deal more preciseness required in supply chain today. On the other hand, you satisfy those promises, we believe it certainly helps to drive a great deal of loyalty from retailer to the consumer. And if we can gather then all of that information about and get a single view of the customer, right? We believe that retailers largely are looking to develop a single view of the customer across all channels that they shop. And the question is, where can you gain that single view of the customer? It isn't the credit card. Frankly, it isn't even a loyalty card. It certainly isn't the cash register. It's in a sophisticated multi-channel order management system. That's where you get a single view of the customer across all channels. We look internally, what the other thing that retailers are looking for is a single view of inventory. A single view of inventory across every single node of the supply chain. Right, whether it be store, distribution center, in transit, back at the supplier. And ultimately, guess what? We're trying to marry that single view of the customer with the single view of inventory profitably. So the execution capabilities that are built into supply chain management systems become, the acuteness of accuracy becomes much more important. But we get our, as we get closer to the customer with knowing much more about them, the ability then, once we have the execution data, to be able to upsell, cross-sell, and manage all of their needs around returns and other aspects of customer service, we see the supply chain systems getting much closer to the customer, the ability to drive top-line revenue, and who knows? You can see on out into the future as to other connections that really, I think, in the past we haven't traditionally thought about. Let's imagine maybe the notion that supply chain systems extend out to digital marketing. How does digital marketing and traditional supply chain come together? Well, if you know everything about the customer, if you know everything about the inventory available, you can certainly provide terrific personalized marketing messages to the preferences of the customer, but you also know exactly what promises you can make too. So to us, and in a nutshell, that's supply chain commerce. Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of fundamental ways. First of all, when the wings of the retail butterfly flap, everybody feels the consequence, right? So smaller orders, more frequent orders, accuracy, and responsiveness is important across the supply chain. Would be point number one. Point number two would be, hey, very simple, old traditional supply chain path to market for a manufacturer. Manufacturer to wholesaler to national distribution center, regional distribution center, into the store, into the customer. Yep, that was the path to market for a brand manufacturer. Today, pop a website up, you've got direct access to the consumer, and we're seeing a lot of brand manufacturers become, I guess, retailers, but certainly getting direct access to their customers. So a combination of the changes in the retail landscape mean that the suppliers have to react and respond differently, but the access to the consumer is so much easier today. So they're needing to respond, retool their infrastructures to execute accordingly. So each and every one plays a part, for sure, and they're different, of course, and they each has their own place. I think from a social perspective, there's really more influence on that front end of the consumer buying patterns, shaping consumer demand, and again requiring greater responsiveness from the execution systems. Now there are internal to organizations, there are certainly applications for enterprise-wide social networking, labor management systems, the gamification of labor systems and so forth. So there's certainly some application there. As we think about cloud technologies, certainly it's very pervasive for us, and I think everybody else in our industry. Something like 65% of all of the deployments we're doing today are in the cloud. Now, next question is, what type of cloud? A large portion of them are in private clouds, most certainly, some in public, some with a multi-tenant cloud, some in a managed service model, and some not. But certainly cloud is becoming much more prevalent. In the markets that we serve, we're not seeing a quick move to the public multi-tenant cloud, but from a technology perspective, the leverage and the provisioning of hardware and infrastructure resources, certainly a very important technology and set of initiatives. BI, so more data coming at us, each and every day. The question is, how does one use it intelligently? Of course, we've developed what we believe are some interesting solutions. Certainly, we have, a comprehensive data search engine inside of our platform. We have business analytics, all the things that you would frankly expect an enterprise application company like ours to have. But we have also developed one of our newer solutions, Total Cost to Serve, gives the ability for our customers to surface all of their operational data and operational metrics and make intelligent decisions about where to source product from, how to route them through their supply chain, in other words, what the appropriate path to market should be, balancing cost and customer service levels, and what does it really cost to get products in the hands of their customer. Not just a total landed cost getting product to the DC, but what does it cost to get individual products in the hands of their customer, to be able to analyze profitability by customer segment. So certainly important. And then the final component of your question, which was mobility. And so a broad question, we could spend a lot of time talking about it, but certainly, again at the execution level, having a mobile supervisory capability, whether it be for a transportation solution, a warehouse management solution, a labor management solution, and so forth, is very, very important these days to stay connected with your workforce. And so those are initiatives that we've developed. but then also as we move into store operations, right, operating on any pretty much mobile device that you can imagine, whether it be Android, Windows, WinMobile, iOS, and so forth, is very, very important. So we're bringing execution capabilities to the store, but it's not like a distribution center, right? We're certainly operating on different devices, frankly, with a different culture to the workforce in those stores that expect a very different look and feel and set of behaviors. So that is certainly another aspect. And then for us, the consumer, the technology-enabled consumer, just exacerbates this notion of immediacy and immediate demand that we're all looking for now, because we have the information right in front of us, which really just drives all the way back again to the need for an agile, flexible supply chain. Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. So we are very well known for WMS, and certainly a blessing, a little bit of a curse. So we love, of course, the WMS business. We've been in it for 23 years. We have a terrific set of customers on our WMS platform, and we expect to continue to invest in WMS. It's a core part of our business, and no signs and no expectations that we will waver from those heavy investments that we've made over the last couple of decades. We are, let's call it frustrated. We are a little frustrated. We feel like we have some of the industry's best kept secrets that are sort of in the shadow a little bit of our WMS solution. Particularly our transportation solutions, our order management solutions, our forecasting solutions, our replenishment and inventory optimization solutions. What I'd like for the industry to think of, when they think of Manhattan, I'd like them to think of end-to-end supply chain solutions running on a common technology platform and architecture. What are the benefits of that? Well, running on a common technology platform, addresses total cost of ownership concerns, so less hardware infrastructure, less system administration costs, and all of those tactical but very important benefits. But running on a common technology platform with a common data model and a single view of the truth gives you the ability to optimize and have applications that are running on the platform interact with one another and interrelate with one another in a way that interfaced solutions cannot. They can begin to contemplate one another's next moves and create a level of optimization and value for the customer that cannot be achieved any other way. So I think it's a valuable trend, and there's some valuable efficiencies that can be gained by really creating a powerful supply chain network all the way from point of manufacture to point of sale. I do think, whilst the value is very, very high, it is a commoditized capability across the supply chain. So I think that maybe it's by definition that those capabilities belong in one place. They belong in the cloud. So I say, send the commodities to the cloud. And I think the industry is prepared to do that. Whilst you might look at allocation algorithms, optimization algorithms, and things that differentiate one company from another from a perspective of supply chain, they want to keep those things in-house. They are the obligatory special sauce, if you like. But I think they are accepting of moving those commodities, those network capabilities up to the cloud and sharing them essentially, with even, in some cases, almost their closest competitors. So I think there's a powerful need there. There's some terrific efficiency that can be gained, and there's only one place that they should live, and that's up in the cloud. So talent is, we're in the people business, right? So Manhattan's greatest asset are our people. We have a highly tenured, highly experienced, and highly skilled staff at Manhattan. Frankly, this was recognized way back in the early days of Manhattan some may or may not know, Manhattan is got its name because the company was formed in Manhattan Beach, California in 1995, relocated to Atlanta. I'll cut the story short, but frankly, one of the driving factors for moving to Atlanta was getting close to some really terrific talent pools. We happen to have a very close association with Georgia Tech that dates all the way back to 1995. I think we're the largest employer of Georgia Tech graduates in Atlanta, so it's a great source, as I say, of talent for us, and we've always focused on bringing terrific talent into the organization. Now, so campus recruiting is important for us. We spend an awful lot of energy, time, and resources on training programs. So we've been hiring anywhere from 300 to 400 people a year. Impossible to find 300 or 400 experienced technical and supply chain professionals, anywhere on the planet. So the only approach for us is to find that balance of hiring experienced, technical and functional and domain resources, but augmented with natural athletes, naturally talented athletes. And when we'll bring in a couple of hundred naturally talented athletes per year, and as I say, put an awful lot of effort in training them to become the next wave of leaders for Manhattan Associates. And frankly, if you look across our organization, you'll see 10, 12, 15-year tenured individuals across our organization where Manhattan has been the first and only company that they've ever worked for. They graduated from a terrific school, often Georgia Tech in the surrounding areas, and they stayed with Manhattan. The trick, of course, is providing them with growth opportunities and career development opportunities. We've had the good fortune to be able to grow our company. We've had the good fortune to work with terrific customers and provide exciting opportunities for this talent pool that we bring in. So for us, it's a finding that balance between the natural athlete that we can help train and develop, and finding the experienced professional to round out the organization. Again, we have been fortunate. There are certainly times, there have been times in our history where we've been a little short of talent, but I think we have a very nice balanced approach and a terrific team of professionals internally, by the way, specifically focused on building training materials and training our staff on a continuous basis. Yeah, well, first of all, understand, of course, what you're getting yourself into. So there's no better way to doing that than a co-op or an intern program. Actually, just a little commercial on a side note here, we were just voted Georgia Tech's co-op employer of the year this past year. So we do quite a bit, bringing co-ops and interns on board so that they can get familiar with our industry and what it takes to be successful, either from a technical perspective or from a functional perspective. But our talent pool is really the engineering disciplines, for the most part. There are certainly always exceptions, those that follow a different path and discover at the end of after they graduate that they want to take a different direction, and we're certainly open to be able to help those folks satisfy their career aspirations. But generally speaking, we're going to be looking for almost any engineering discipline will have the aptitude to be able to get involved in the problem solving aspects of what we need, the project planning aspects, the training aspects, and the customer interaction that's required.